Hey, Trojan family, what's going on? Welcome to the USC LAFB show here on the LAFB network. I'm your host, Ryan Dyrud. Thank you, as always, for making this a part of your day. Hope everyone has enjoyed a beautiful Sunday, enjoyed a great weekend of NFL playoff football. We had a wild game yesterday with the Broncos and Bills. Obviously, the blowout up in the Pacific Northwest, the Sam Darnold special fight on. Love seeing Sammy D sling the ball. And then, today, Patriots beat the Texans. And then right now, as of this recording, Rams, Bears knotted up. Conflicting game for me. Obviously, you want to see the Rammies win here, being in Los Angeles. But Caleb Williams, obviously USC legend, Caleb Williams. And so I want to see Caleb Williams have success. So I'm kind of excited for each of those teams for different reasons. And hey, I kind of am leaning more Rams. Obviously, we're in LA. This is the LAFB network. But a Caleb Williams, Sam Darnold, all USC NFC Championship game would be a lot of fun. So anyway, that's not why we are here today. We're talking defensive coordinator. I think, guys, we are getting close on the hire happening. I believe I don't want to say I know who it's going to be, but I've kind of come to a consensus on which direction the team will go. This is based on, reading between the tea leaves, some conversations I've had and whatnot. So we'll see if it comes to fruition. This isn't like me saying this is what's going to happen, but just, I just try to put out the information for you guys, that I kind of get in here and that I have conversations directly with, but also, what is out there in the universe and try to compile it all into one place for you. So earlier today, as we reported 8 days ago, so this is kind of where, we kind of have to read between the lines. Earlier today, On3 put out, and this was based on Brett McMurphy, Pete Nakos, and at CloFB, a really good insider national with On3 joined recently, Chris Lowe, that is. USC and Gary Patterson have been in communication regarding the open defensive coordinator job. Now, we talked about Gary Patterson 8 days ago. We knew USC was talking to him then. So it's interesting that this comes out from a national brand and On3 because I'm not saying they're piggybacking on insiders or USC reporters, but are they just now kind of putting this out there based on what we've already know? Or is this more of a, hey, this has now gone past the initial conversation. This is now extensive conversation and the direction USC is looking to proceed. I look at it as the latter. Based on that and what they've kind of put out, it doesn't really give you a whole lot. It just kind of says USC and Gary Patterson are just talking. There's potential mutual interest, yada, yada, yada. Again, the stuff we knew 8 days ago. To me, it feels like this is their lead honed in target in Gary Patterson. So first, let me just put it all out there. Then we can talk if this is a good move. Many of you that watch the show kind of know where I stand on this anyway. But it feels like USC is going to Gary Patterson and saying, hey, you're our guy. Do you want to come be our defensive coordinator? Now, it also seems like USC is basically saying, however, and this is kind of, I think, why some of the other hires didn't work out, like Pete Kwiatkowski and other interviews potentially. Batoon at Missouri, maybe even Wink Martindale. I don't know how that one went exactly, but I believe USC wants to keep their entire defensive staff intact. I just think that's not just Lincoln Riley. I think that's Chad Bowden. I think that's Jen Cohen. I think they believe in the staff they built for a reason. You don't go out and hire a bunch of I know that the production maybe hasn't matched in, the time that it's been so far, but you don't go out and hire former DCs, NFL capable guys, NFL legends to come in and then just get replaced by the guy you're bringing in. That could be wrong. That could be a wrong decision, but that's just the vibe I'm getting. That's the decision. That's the tea leaves I am reading, is that all of the infrastructure at USC wants to keep what they've built in place because they believe in A, the continuity, B, obviously the recruiting prowess that these gentlemen bring, and then C, the future of what the position could be within house of what they already have in place. So I think Gary Patterson is the guy USC has targeted. Not just targeted, is the guy that they're like, hey, if you want it, the job is yours with these stipulations. You need to keep the staff. Again, this is just my opinion and kind of based reading between the tea leaves. Keep the staff in-house. Come on in, be the CEO of the defense, but we want you to work alongside with who we've already built with the plan of potentially, because I don't know if Gary Patterson, I don't know what his intentions are for coaching, but you would think if he comes back to be a DC, he probably has the desire to get to be a head coach again. I mean, he was a head coach for many, many years in college football. So if that is truly his desire, come in, be the CEO of the defense for however long, and then one of our in-house guys will then be able to take over once you decide to move on to the head coaching level again. So that's where I think that's it. I think it's ultimately going to come down to Gary Patterson agreeing to keep everyone and just come in and fill in as DC. I think if he decides, no, I would like the job, but I want this, this, and this, then I think USC and Lincoln Riley are fully okay with saying, okay, we will hire within and we will promote Eric Henderson to defensive coordinator. I truly believe that they believe in Eric Henderson. So many would say, well, if you believe in him, why wouldn't you, why are you going for someone else? Why not just hire him now? You can believe in someone, but still think they might need a little bit more time, tutelage. And if you have a guy like Gary Patterson, which again, we'll get to if you think that's a good hire or not, he is a legend in the defensive field. He has just been into the College Football Hall of Fame this week, the 2026 class. He essentially is the architect of the 4-2-5. He's not some scrub. Now, he obviously has not been a true lead coach for a couple years now, and the last 4 years at TCU didn't end up great, but we've seen this from a ton of good coaches. And he's coming in as a DC, not as a head coach. So I don't think them not hiring Eric Henderson now doesn't mean they don't believe in him. And if all of a sudden they end up promoting him, it's like, oh, well, that's just a panic move. I think it's more of like, hey, if you can get a legend to come in and be more of that mentor role in a critical year, that takes a lot of pressure away from a guy like Henderson, who we want to be DC eventually because we believe he is a true up-and-coming guy. It just might not be there yet. Like, how many times do we see across India, and this isn't just USC, where a coach gets a job, sputters out, and then he gets a second chance somewhere, and then he shines. And it's like, well, maybe it was just a little too early making that decision. You can think of like Vance Joseph as an example, going to the NFL ranks when he got the Broncos head coaching job, and now he's back as the DC, and he's probably going to be a head coach this next time around, and he's like been a dominant DC again. So sometimes that's just the case, and if you rush into it, it just, causes, you don't have the success you truly want to get. But if Gary Patterson doesn't want to do that, I do think they do feel comfortable just saying, okay, we will make the hire within. I think they were fine with that from the beginning, but they didn't need to rush into it. I think they were like, you know what, let's take our time. Let's cast the nets out wide. Let's gauge the interest, gauge the fit, gauge what we think this can really look like and who has the exact synergy. We know what we have in-house, and if we don't like what's out there, we'll hire an in-house. So again, for those like, well, if they're going to hire in-house, why didn't you just do that right off the bat? You want to still kind of see what's out there if you feel like your clarity or your plan is strong enough to not disrupt the offseason, which I don't think it did when you look at the transfer portal, when you look at how recruiting's going. Yeah. So 2 things from that, and we'll wrap this up. So that's what I think where we're at right now. It's probably Gary Patterson or Eric Henderson or promote within. Maybe Doug Belk in some variety or something, but I think Eric Henderson would be the lead DC if they promote within. I think that's where we're at. There could still be a wild card. You never know. I think USC does this a lot too, where they do really good about not leaking things out, but every now and then little things will get out, and then it's like Rob Ryan's hired, like last year, where it's just like, whoa, no one saw that coming. So that could happen, but just based on what I've heard, read, talked to, that seems like the direction we're at right now. Gary Patterson or Eric Henderson as DC. Now, so 2 things. So if they do get Gary Patterson and he agrees to keep the whole staff everyone's good, singing Kumbaya. Going into the year now, we can put it all behind us. We got a veteran DC, staff is in place, recruiting's on the up and up. There is really no worry of any of this coaching staff now leaving to college. I think most college staffs are kind of filling out, at least all the good ones. Like, it would be a downgrade kind of to go for whatever. So I think that they are safe in that regard. Like, for instance, when there was like links for Coach Nua to BYU, there was links for Coach Henderson to get Georgia Tech. Like, those have all been filled. I think we're good there. The one you'd have to watch would be, and you could say this for all the coaching staff, but for sure with Coach Henderson, would be the NFL. Here we are, championship weekend, or division round weekend. Then you have the championships, and then you have the Super Bowl 3 weeks from now. Once the season ends, these coaching jobs, there's 9? 2 have now been filled. So there's 7 more left. When those guys get hired, they're going to be filling their staffs. So there still could be a risk that he gets a call from, remember, he coached with Chris Shula with the Rams, who's a hot ticket. He coached with other coaches who are now getting looks, not just as head coaches, but would maybe get, he could get defensive coordinator looks at the NFL level, or maybe, I don't think he would do this, but maybe would go back as a position coach in the NFL if he didn't like how this goes down. I'm just throwing it out there. I don't think that's the case at all. I think he loves being at USC. I think he's happy either way. Obviously, you want to promote. To me, if he were to go back to the NFL, it would be at a DC level. But just throw that out there, something to think about. So, don't think there'd be any fear of college plucking guys anymore, but the NFL now you'd have to look at, and obviously we know Coach Henderson has a ton of connections with the NFL since that's where he came from. In regards to Gary Patterson, and we'll end with this, drop your comments below. Really curious to hear what you guys think. I think there'd probably be a mix among the fan base. In my opinion, I think this would be a great hire. I really do think this would be a really good hire. I think you have a guy that would, if you are looking for a CEO of the defense, you get that, right? He's been a head coach for a long time, a Hall of Fame head coach. If you're looking for someone schematically that fits kind of the personnel that's been built on this, you get that. Architect of the 4-2-5. There's some interchangeable stuff. I know that they ran maybe not a perfect 4-2-5, but again, like I said, it kind of deciphers if Cam Fountain or Cam Crawford and Braylon Shelby have their hand in the dirt standing up. Is that a 4-2-5 or is that a 2-4-5? Just all depends on that. So I think they have the personnel in place to implement exactly the defense that he architected and would want to run here at USC. C, highly disciplined guy, and did a lot with a little at TCU. This was the pre-NIL era, and they had a lot of good defenses before the end of his time, a lot of good teams, and they were not with elite 5 stars all across the roster. They were doing things with lesser talent and just good coaching and discipline. So he would bring that tenacity, that kind of hard-ass style of coaching, probably a very different style than Dan Lin. It's hard to know what these guys are like during practice without seeing them, but just based on Dan Lin's demeanor and interviews, like he was a much more kind of NFL guy, quieter demeanor, strategic, but I'm not sure if he was someone that's going to chew out someone. Not that you need that, but I think Gary Patterson would be a little bit different mold in that regard, which I think a lot of fans would probably like to see. A little bit more fire in there, if you will. So we'll see. We'll see what this comes. We'll see if I'm back on here tomorrow morning. We'll see if it goes a completely different direction. But just based on everything out there right now, I do think they're kind of down to Gary Patterson or Eric Henderson. We will see. Let me know your comments, your thoughts. Drop them all below. Like it, love it, hate it, confused. Just want it to get over with. Don't want to see me talk about it anymore. Sorry, that's what the news is right now, so that's what we're doing. So let me know any thoughts you have. Hit that like and subscribe button. Everyone enjoy the rest of this 3-day weekend. We'll see how this game finishes up here. Here in just a minute. It'll probably be over before I get this published. But appreciate you, family. As always, fight on. Hey, Trojan family, thank you so much for hanging out and watching the USC LAFB show. Before you go, let me tell you quickly about our friends over at Sleeper. Go right now, download the Sleeper app. It's the #1 sports app, not just for season-long fantasy, but they've got live pickers, they've got live stat updates, they've got a chat. You can chat with other users, plus the daily pick'em. which is a blast, or daily fantasy, whatever you want to call it. You go and pick 2 to 8 players across any sports. If you're talking USC, go choose Jade Mayava in his next matchup. Pick more or less passing yards, more or less touchdowns. You stack those, and you can win real money. When you go to make your first deposit, make sure you use our promo code USC LAFB. You're going to get a match deposit up to $100. Put in $100, you get $100 free to play with from Sleeper. Put in $10, they'll match you that $10. So now you're sitting at $20 to play with. But also right now, for any new users, no deposit required. You get $20 free entry. You can stack both. You can get the $20 for free. Go make a deposit. Use USC LAFB. And now you've got a bunch of free money to play with right there on the Sleeper app. Check it out, Trojan family. And when you do, tell them the guys at the USC LAFB sent you.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.